Hello, friends, and welcome to Bottled and Bond, a discussion of the James Bond movies and lore alongside spirited companions. I am Mike Scott, and I have been watching James Bond movies for nearly 30 years, but have never really taken a deep dive into the history and lore of this film franchise. So, alongside my friend Charlie, we're going to delve into each of the 25 Eon produced movies. During this episode, we will be sampling a few spirits that would pair nicely with the movie. Today we'll be discussing the ninth movie in the franchise, 1974's The Man with the Golden Gun. So find your cigarette case, prepare your favorite cocktail, shaken not stirred, of course, and leave your hat at the door while we ponder this question. Is the Golden Gun overpowered in GoldenEye 64? This is episode 009, The Man with the Golden Gun. Got a big episode, Charlie. It's a huge episode.
Yeah.
You're
Yep.
gonna be shocked at the end of it, I think.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Do you have your third nipple applied?
I do.
All
I
right.
have my pepperoni on my chest.
Yeah. All right.
We got 3 companion beverages today. We got the Black Velvet. We've got Mekong, the Spirit of Thailand. And we have a corkscrew. So a couple of errors and omissions. So I made a joke about Dr. Quinn in the last episode, and I don't think I really elaborated on it. Kids, the lady that played Solitaire was in a show called Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, and that's what I always knew her from. She was like some frontierswoman woman doctor that had all these crazy little adventures and stuff. The other thing was...
Don't minimize her adventures, Mike.
Thanks. The other little mistake, I don't think I described Mr. Big correctly from the book. He was a half Haitian, half French. I think I said half Jamaican. We did get a listener comment. Our friend Amy
Ooh.
chimed in because we were talking about... Neither of us quite understood why Solitaire threw her purse at Bond when they were getting put onto the plane.
Right. Was she against him or is she trying to help him?
And
right.
Amy seems to think that it was a distraction for Bond to get away.
Yeah. I'd like to think so.
I accept that.
Yeah,
I accept it.
I do too.
No news, surprisingly. You'd think we'd be flush with news because of, the director announcement, but I don't think we're going to find out who Bond's going to be for 6 months at least.
Yeah. It'll take a while.
On personal news, I am wearing my birthday shirt today, which is the Roger Moore...
Not your birthday suit.
Not my birthday suit. No, we don't... Nobody wants that.
No one wants to see
Good
the
thing-
third nipple.
Yeah. This is a made from somebody on Etsy, and it's got all the Roger Moore James Bonds on it, including the one in Octopussy where he's a clown, which just cracks me up every time I see it.
Yes. And he is a clown in Octopussy.
He certainly is. Let's do the plot summary. Before taking over Isengard and plotting with Sauron to rule Middle-earth, Scaramanga, aka Saruman with the Golden Gun, is living a life of luxury on a secluded beach where his fantasy island cohort, Knick-Knack, sets up challenges for visiting would-be killers. Meanwhile, at MI6, James Bond is told that he may be Scaramanga's next victim when he is shown a bullet with a 007 etched on it. Hunting down Scaramanga, Bond's travels take him to Beirut, Macau, and Hong Kong, where he finds that answers may lie in Bangkok at the headquarters of industrialist High Fat. Along with sidekicks Lieutenant Hip and Mary Goodnight, Bond eventually finds out that the MacGuffin, the Solex agitator, which could solve the world's energy problems, is in Scaramanga's hands. Bond takes time to bed Scaramanga's mistress, Andrea Anders.
As you will.
But after she is killed by Scaramanga, 007 teams up with racist honky J.W. Pepper to rescue the kidnapped Mary Goodnight and retrieve the Solex.
Oh, thank goodness we get another chance to see J.W. Pepper.
On Scaramanga's island, Bond encounters the typical villainous pleasantries in his lair before eventually defeating him in a duel to the death. 007 recovers the Solex, escapes the island with Goodnight, and captures Knick-Knack just in time to, you guessed it, folks, end his adventure on a boat.
On a boat.
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Is this the biggest boat? No, there was that ship.
Right. There was a
Yeah,
big
this isn't the
cruise
biggest boat,
liner.
but it's kind of the fanciest one.
It's pretty cool. Cast for this one, we got Roger Moore in his second appearance as James Bond, Christopher Lee as Francisco Scaramanga, Britt Eklund as Mary Goodnight, Maud Adams as Andrea Anders, Hervé Villechaize as Nick Nack. I hope I pronounced that right. I think I did. Clifton James as Sheriff J.W. Pepper, Richard Liu as High Fat, Soontek O as Lieutenant Hip, Mark Lawrence as Rodney, Carmen Dusautoy as Saida, Francois Théry as Chumi, great Bond name.
Oh, yeah.
Bernard Lee as M. This is the ninth of 11 appearances. Lois Maxwell as Miss Moneypenny. This is the ninth of 14 appearances. And good old Desmond Llewellyn is back at as Q, seventh of 17 appearances.
You know, it's hard to believe there doesn't end up being a J.W. Pepper spin-off movie, right?
Amazon's going to redo it, and they're going to have spin-offs of every single character that's ever been in it. Crew, this was directed by Guy Hamilton. This is his fourth and final outing. Screenplay was by Richard Maibaum and Tom Mankiewicz. Music was by John Barry. This is sixth of 11 Bond scores. Cinematography by Ted Moore, and production design by Peter Merton. The theme song is The Man with the Golden Gun, performed by Lulu. Music by John Barry, lyrics by Don Black. My daughter, when we watched this the other night, she's like, or no, I'm sorry, it was my wife we were watching. She's like, is that the same woman that sings Diamonds Are Forever? And I could kind of hear it a little bit at parts, but no, Lulu is no Shirley Bassey.
Lulu sang something famous, though, and I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, well, now
I should have looked it up, right?
Yeah, we have an omission
tell
for
you
next week.
Yeah.
This premiered December 19th, 1974 in the US and UK. I think the opening was at the same Odeon Leicester Square. The budget, adjusted for inflation, is $36.3 million. The worldwide box office is $505.8 million, again, adjusted for inflation. That ranks 22nd out of 25. So this is one of the least successful Bond movies. What's your history with this one? Do you have any? Because I do not.
Not really. No. I mean, I remember it, but I feel like I remember it somewhat less than some of the other ones I've seen.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that I didn't like it. And that's going to be kind of a trend with the Roger Moore ones. Let's go into the scene-by-scene breakdown.
All right.
So we start off the movie on a beach with Scaramanga's lady friend, Andrea Anders. That's played by Maud Adams, who we will see again in another Bond movie.
Really?
As an even more pivotal character.
Okay.
Nick Nack comes out with a large tray of drinks, and that's where Scaramanga gets his black velvet. So we have this black velvet. It's made with a sparkling white wine called Alma, and it's mixed with Guinness. Guinness is a beer, but it's a dark beer, so a lot of people probably wouldn't like it.
But it's a mild beer for all you people who just think any dark beer is scary.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. I feel like this is going to be one of the weirder things we've had. I cannot wait. I don't exactly know what to make of that.
It definitely doesn't taste like more of one thing than the other. It's definitely a combination.
It is definitely a mixture. And I suppose I expected it to be worse than it is. Like, I don't know if I'd order it, but at the same time, it isn't, like, terrible.
So this came from, it's like 160 years old. There was a bartender somewhere in England that, upon the death of, I think it was a king. I think it was King Albert, maybe. I'll fact check that later. But basically, upon the death of the king, he created this drink in honor of the dead.
He just
king.
grabbed the two closest things to him. And
yeah. We did do two varieties of it. The first pour that we just sampled, it was in a champagne flute with the Guinness on the bottom. And then we did bigger glasses of half and half with the champagne on the bottom. And then we tried to pour the Guinness so that it would like layer, but it
Sit on top.
didn't quite do it. I think it might be because of the humidity or something.
But I still feel like when you tip it, you're getting some of both anyway. But, you know, I suppose since lots of times stout is mixed with other things, maybe that's partly why it doesn't really taste as bad as I might have thought it would be.
Right.
I didn't expect much. I don't know if I'll, order it again, but it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. So as the drinks are being brought out, Scaramanga emerges from the water. No, wait. That's Chandler Bing and his third nipple, which is called a superfluous papilla.
Yeah, of course it is.
Scaramanga is played by legendary actor Christopher Lee. As I mentioned up top, he was Saruman in the Lord of the Rings movies. He was also Count Dooku in Star Wars. He was also known for Dracula back in the 70s. He and Ian Fleming were actually step cousins. So they knew each other. I think it was through like marriage or something.
And he's like, hey, you got a third nipple. We can really use that in this next movie we're making.
I don't think he had a third nipple.
Oh,
either.
you don't think so? All right. You might be right.
So now we have a stranger that shows up and is brought into the house by Knick Knack.
Okay, hang on.
Yes.
Do you remember why Knick Knack was going back to the house in the first place?
It was to get hot sauce, right?
It was to get Tabasco sauce.
To get Tabasco. A little teeny bottle of it.
A bottle of Tabasco, which he brings out on a tray.
Yes.
And sets down, and Scaramanga never even acts like he's interested in the Tabasco sauce that he asked him to go get. I don't understand the purpose of getting the Tabasco. And he had only brought out champagne. What are you going to do with Tabasco sauce out on the beach with a glass of champagne?
I don't know. This has been Charlie Ruin's movie. We got that
I
segment
wanted it to
early.
mean something.
Yeah.
I wanted there to be some purpose for this Tabasco sauce, and he doesn't do anything with it.
Maybe Scaramanga was going to shoot the lid off of the Tabasco sauce, but changed his mind.
No, that's very possible. Add this to my complaint about the Allergy Institute not knowing whether they were actually curing allergies. I should start a list. I'll see what I can do.
So the guy that shows up, that's an actor named Mark Lawrence, who was also one of the gangsters in Diamonds Are Forever. He's the one that said, I didn't know there was a pool down there when they threw Plenty O'Toole off the balcony.
Oh, that's a pretty good line, actually.
I did have a little comment. I also like hot sauce brought to me on a tray. It's got to be very official.
Oh, yeah, for sure. To then ignore and to go inside to kill somebody.
Yeah. So Scaramanga goes in, and he's surprised by this stranger who starts firing. Eventually, the stranger's lured into this fun house full of wax figures that clearly were not wax figures. Those were real guys.
No, you could
'cause one of them
tell when they
blinked.
did the close-ups. Yes, in the close-ups, you could tell there was no way those were wax.
One of them was supposed to be. There was a man named Al Capone that tried to make the town his own, and the night Chicago died.
Nice, very nice.
It's a song, kids. So Scaramanga trying to find his golden gun. Knick Knack is giving him all kinds of
Did you
problems.
like how the guy asked forgiveness from him because he was obviously like a gangster himself? And
Yes,
he's like,
forgiveness from
"Please,
Al Capone."
wherever you are, please forgive
Yeah,
me.
that was funny. So Knick Knack's in this like control room where he's controlling everything. Scaramanga's trying to find his golden gun. It's behind a locked gate.
Okay, but hang on. Knick Knack's kind of acting like, oh, where is the gun? And he's saying all these things. But, like, this is Scaramanga's house. Like, how hard can this be for Scaramanga to win this battle? I don't understand why you take the bet if you're the other guy.
Well, I mean, obviously Knick Knack and Scaramanga are doing this on purpose.
I
So
know.
it's like Knick Knack is giving Scaramanga challenges somehow. Like, yes, he knew where
I
the
know,
gun
but
was,
how
but it was locked away.
challenging is it if you own this room? I mean, it's a weird funhouse room with all these tricks, but you know what the tricks are because you've obviously done this before.
Yeah.
Or there's the second episode,
Yes.
or the sub-episode of Charlie Ruin's movies.
Yes.
But couldn't help thinking about, he's acting like they're both on equal footing trying to kill each other, and I'm like, no, they're not.
Yeah. So eventually Scaramanga gets the better of him and does kill him. Knick Knack doesn't get his money because of it. He loses the bet. And then we have a wax figure of Roger Moore,
Yeah.
which they should have
Slash
used.
James Bond.
They should have used for A View to a Kill because he would have looked. The wax figure of Roger Moore would have looked much better.
Would have looked a bit
than he
younger.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scaramanga shoots off all of his fingers, and then we go to the opening credits. So we get the opening credits with a lot of naked ladies.
There were a number of naked
Very,
ladies.
very subtly, covered in some parts, but not always. So what do you think of that song? What do you think of Man with Golden Gun?
I mean, it didn't do much for me. Now, it's funny because I run with some Englishmen, And one of them this morning when I was on my run, I mentioned that the song didn't do much for me, and he really liked it.
Really?
But it's not very memorable for me.
Okay. I like it. It grew on me. I mean, we'll get there, but we'll talk about it in rankings. But it's not top tier, but I don't think it's bad.
It's not bad. I just don't think it's memorable, right? Of all
Yeah.
the ones, when you think of Bond songs, it just doesn't pop into your mind.
Now we're at HQ. Bond walks in, and M, a guy named Colethorpe, who is the ballistics expert, and the chief of staff are all there. M asks Bond if he has ever heard of Scaramanga. And, Bond for just a second pauses and then goes into this entire biography of
His
the
whole
guy.
life history.
And M is just so terribly disappointed that Bond knew what he was talking about. So they show Bond the bullet with the 007 on it.
M has really mastered the disappointment face by
Yes.
this point. The Bond, you're really irritating me face.
Oh,
He's
we get
really
an
good at
even
it.
better M face later.
Oh, I know.
Not quite an O face, but an M face.
Right. Nice.
So they show Bond the bullet, and Bond's like, "Who would pay $1 million to have me killed?" M's best comeback to date to Bond: jealous husbands, outraged chefs, humiliated tailors. The list is endless.
Yes,
Loved
I
it.
did enjoy that. He says all that stuff with such a straight face.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Bond is relieved of his current mission because he doesn't, they don't want this whole golden bullet thing to be a distraction. They mentioned briefly that it's him looking for a missing solar energy expert. Eventually, Bond and him are kind of fighting about it, and then
and he talks about how they could solve the energy crisis.
yeah. Bond and him eventually come to a gentleman's agreement that Bond's going to find Scaramanga first and kill him.
Okay, so about this scene, he tells Bond he'll accept his resignation or he can go on a sabbatical. And Bond says, well, what if I get to him first? And do you think he truly was going to accept his resignation? Do you think he was just waiting for Bond to, offer to go kill the guy?
I think so.
Or, yeah,
I think
couldn't really tell.
they've come to an understanding at this point.
They don't like each other. However,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bond and Moneypenny chat a little bit. They talk about 002, guy by the name of Fairbanks, because he was killed by a golden bullet.
They believe.
Yeah, but they never found the bullet.
You're right.
So at this point, Moneypenny's just kind of getting tired of Bond because he never, returns her advances in any
Right.
way. So it's a little cold. But then Bond goes and he heads out and goes on his little fact-finding mission. And the first place he goes is Beirut. And we're watching a character by the name of Saida belly dance.
Yeah, the theory was she was the person who was with 002 when he was
Yes.
killed, and she might know something, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So he approaches her in her dressing room, asks her about Bill Fairbanks. You can clearly see that the charm that's in her belly button, that's the bullet that they couldn't find. I did like that Bond had a big cigar again. I mean,
Yes.
this is my favorite Bond because he puffs on cigars all the time. I think it's awesome. So they're talking back and forth, and then the club boss or whatever that guy was, he comes in with two thugs to rough up Bond. Tell me you saw what happened in this scene when they started fighting, or did you miss it?
I don't know.
Okay, so they start fighting, and there's a mirror in her dressing room,
Yeah.
and one of them gets shoved into the mirror, and the mirror gets lopsided, and you can see the entire camera crew.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
It's
All right.
amazing.
I got to go back now.
Yeah, the fact that they didn't edit it out somehow, it's hilarious. They have this whole fight. We see the camera crew. We're taken out of the movie, but then, the very next.
Do we
cut,
have any idea why they're attacking him? Do they know who he is?
I don't know.
Right,
It's not
okay.
really explained unless somehow they work for Scaramanga. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me who didn't understand why they were attacking him. That's okay.
I should say before they started to rough Bond up, Bond is trying to get it on with the belly dancer and
Obviously.
kisses her belly and they come in and punch him in the back of the head and he swallows the bullet.
He does make a good accidental swallowing face
Yeah,
when
that
that
was good.
happens.
So they have this fight. Bond wins, of course. Saida freaks out because she's like, "I've lost my charm." And then we get a little quip from Bond. He looks at her, not from where I'm standing, and then he does his little tie and makes his little face and walks out.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
He hops in a cab and goes to the pharmacy to clearly get some Ipecac because he
Yes.
did swallow the bullet
Well, or laxative.
or laxative.
Yeah, it's hard to know which way it went, but I don't know. I don't know whether a metal bullet like that's going to come back up. It's hard to know.
That's true.
All right.
That'll be the poll.
Some doctors can tell us.
That'll
who
be
are
the poll
listening to
question this week.
Right.
So, did he go to get Ipecac or did he go to get laxative,
Yes.
super lax or whatever?
Yes.
Bond's back at Q Branch. They're checking out the bullet that killed Fairbanks. Q's there with him, and I love the stuff going on behind because they're clearly setting up the shot behind to do something.
It was terrific. That was a great scene. Just like because your eye is drawn toward what they're doing back there, and they got this brick wall, and they're aiming things in, while these other guys are just looking in some microscope.
No way
a
that wasn't going to
bullet.
pay off at the end of the scene.
No, exactly.
So they figure out that the guy that probably made the golden bullet was a guy by the name of Lazar.
But hang on, we got to talk about what happens in the background.
Oh, well,
They're setting up that wall, and suddenly they fire something that blows a gigantic hole in the
giant
wall.
hole in a brick wall. Yeah.
But the funniest part of it is Bond and Q and the other guy like are not even phased. They like for 2 seconds maybe they pause, and then they just go on talking as if that's just a normal day at the office. Blowing
yeah, I
up
think that was a
wall.
callback to like Goldfinger because Goldfinger was the one where they're in there and all this crazy stuff.
All the crazy stuff's happening as they walk through there, and they're not even paying attention.
So yeah, Bond is going to go see this Lazar guy in Macau. Macau is like, I don't know if it's like kind of like its own province or something, but it's in southern China.
Okay.
Bond's in this bike taxi to Lazar's place. We should have got bike taxis we recently went disc golfing. It's very hot. We should have had bike taxis to take
That
us
would
from
be
hole to
great.
hole.
We really should. We'll think of that next time.
Yeah. So Lazar is a custom gunsmith.
I really loved the scene where he's talking to the lady and the 2 children who clearly don't have the slightest idea what he's talking about in English, and they're sitting there with their bowls of noodles eating and just looking at him
It's like, whatever,
with no
man.
expression like, what are you talking about?
So Bond's in there checking out Lazar's lair. He's kind of messing with him because he wants him to talk and tell him, where who these bullets are going to.
Yeah.
And there's this gun that was there that it was made for somebody that
Lost their first 2 fingers.
lost their fingers, so it was weighted perfectly for him and everything. Bond aims the gun at him and shoots it, and it's like, oh, it really does shoot low. So
He shoots at his crotch,
he does, and it
and
misses
it
low.
misses
Yeah.
1 inch low.
And he does say, Bond does have a little quip where he says, "Speak or forever hold your peace," and that's not, P-E-A-C-E, that's P-I-E-C-E.
Ah.
Now we go to a casino where Lazar is handing off the bullets to the contact, who ends up being Andrea Anders, Scaramanga. So Bond is on the Flying Sandpiper heading to Hong Kong. As an aside, I once flew Sandpiper Airlines when I went to Nantucket. It's
Nice.
a Wings reference.
Yes.
That's a great TV show. On the Sandpiper, they see the Queen Elizabeth shipwreck from that boat, which was that was a real shipwreck. It had caught fire and capsized due to the water that was being used to put out the fire. They don't know why it caught on fire, but that was in like 1972.
And it's obviously in shallow water because like half of it is still sticking up.
Yeah, so they basically used that ship for this movie, and then the most of it got scrapped after that, most of the Queen Elizabeth. So now Bond catches a cab to follow the green Rolls Royce.
Tries to catch a cab.
Tries to catch a cab to follow the green Rolls Royce. And then Mary Goodnight drives in front of him. And as I had mentioned, Mary Goodnight was in several of the Bond books before this.
Oh, okay.
But this was her first movie appearance, and I'd kind of forgotten she was actually in the movies.
She does obviously act like she knows him and has met him before.
Yeah. The actress playing Mary Goodnight, her name's Britt Eklund. She was previously married to Peter Sellers in the 60s.
Oh,
The
wow.
legend Peter Sellers, who
Yes.
also appears in a movie called Casino Royale from
Yeah.
the 60s, which we may or may not cover someday.
Oh, we have to.
Yeah. Bond is at the hotel looking for Andrea Anders. All these hotel shots were at Pinewood Studios. He's got some champagne. Do you think that was Dom Perignon?
I don't know. They don't really say what it was, but he gets the guy to let him in the room carrying the champagne to see her.
I'm really looking forward to the day when I can say this episode is brought to you by Dom Perignon, and then we're just sitting here drinking it while we're. I'll do a commercial.
Now
I mean,
we're
I will do a
talking.
commercial break with Dom Perignon if that's
Oh,
what it
yeah,
takes.
yeah.
Whatever we need to do.
Yeah. Rolls Royce, any luxury
Yeah,
item,
yeah,
really.
So Pervert Bond is watching Anders while she's showering. We get a very, very brief shot of a nip slip there. And she gets out of the shower, has a gun pointed on him, gets dressed, and then Bond proceeds.
Her shower gun, of course.
Of course, we all have those. Bond decides, he's interrogating her, decides to do some slapping, but no tickling, to get her to talk. She said, she says where Scaramanga is going to be. He asks what she looks like, or what Scaramanga looks like, and she says tall, slim, and dark. And he goes, "So is my aunt." So then she talks about the third nipple.
The third nipple.
And it's like, well, how's that going to work unless Bottoms Up is a strip club and he's performing?
Yes. It's half of those things.
Yes, it is. So then we're taken to Bottoms Up, literally.
Well, he opens the champagne with her and says, bottoms up. And then they cut right to the scene at the strip club.
With a bottom going up.
With a bottom going up, yes.
That dancer was also in the opening credits. So we see this guy sitting there with the dancer, and a Asian gentleman walks up to him and is talking to him. Bond's outside of Bottoms Up, looking very cool once again with that cigar. So we see them, and then we have a brief little cut to Scaramanga with Anders. Knick-Knack walks up to Bond. Knick-Knack's wearing a really cool Charlie Chaplin-looking outfit.
Well, they're both checking themselves out, so here's a little tidbit from old people. They're at the electronics store, looking in the store at the TVs. Bond is. Mm-hmm. And the TVs would have a camera pointing back so you could see yourself on TV. So he's looking at himself on the TV set, and he looks and then sees Knick-Knack walking up. And Knick-Knack goes to a lower level TV where probably children would normally have been and looks at himself in the TV before he goes to do his very important job.
Yes. Bond tosses away half the cigar, which has just annoyed me.
Yeah, I don't know why you do that.
So now we see Scaramanga aiming down the gun sights and takes a shot, and oh no, he's going to kill Bond. No, he actually kills a different person. That person turns out to be Gibson, the missing solar energy expert that Bond was supposed to be, that Bond got taken off the mission with that guy.
I think Bond's back was to Scaramanga as he was walking across the street. So I think, in theory, Scaramanga didn't know Bond was there because his back was to him.
Possibly. But I think also it's just Scaramanga's a hitman. He's, he was paid to kill Gibson.
And he can only get one shot out of that gun, so he can't waste it on Bond. But I don't think he saw him, because if you look at it, Bond's walking across the street with his back to Scaramanga.
Possibly, yeah.
Just accept my explanation,
Maybe just for the audience, too, because it's like, well, why didn't he just kill Bond there,
Right.
Even though he wasn't really going to. So Bond is taken away by Lieutenant Hip. And then we see Scaramanga and Knick-Knack back at their pirate ship, which they call a junk, is the name of that kind of ship, apparently. And Bond is now on a boat with Hip. Hip said he was going to take him to, police station or something, but they're out in the water, and it's like, oh, he's taking him to a different place. But eventually Bond gets to the Queen Elizabeth and jumps onto the Queen Elizabeth trying to escape Hip. But it turns out that the Queen Elizabeth is actually a MI6 headquarters.
Now, I just want to say about Hip really quickly, because he looked very familiar to me, because I had seen him in several episodes of MASH.
Oh, okay. Yes.
MASH was a show where they would sometimes have the same actor on different seasons as a different person.
Yes.
And I think he was in at least 2 or 3 episodes. And he was very memorable, his face. And so when I saw him, I immediately thought of his appearance.
I may have seen an episode or two of him, because I watched a few seasons of MASH.
Yeah. Anyway, he's good. I like him. He is a good actor, I think. Very nonchalant, very matter-of-fact, very good.
So this set was really cool for the Queen Elizabeth, because everything is all like at this weird slant. And which
It
Bond,
was awesome.
yeah, Bond gives a quip, certainly gives you a new slant as he's walking around this ship.
No, it's great. They're kind of having to walk up the
Yeah.
floor in certain rooms and things like that. It was a great set.
Yeah. So we see M there. Turns out Hip is a good guy. He's working with MI6. We get our explanation about the MacGuffin for the movie, the Solex agitator. So this is the essential unit to convert radiation from the sun to energy on an industrial basis.
With 95% efficiency or whatever they said.
Basically, it would be free energy for everybody forever. So not a big deal, you know.
I'm going to have an issue with this eventually.
All right. So we learned that the Solex was not on Gibson's body. It was stolen. Bond comes to the conclusion he believes that High Fat hired Scaramanga to kill Gibson to get the Solex. Because High Fat's a big industrialist. He probably doesn't want that clean energy for everybody. So he believes that's the motivation.
So it's kind of like when Montgomery Burns invents the sun blocker so that everyone will have to use electricity from his nuclear power plant at all times.
This has been an episode of Simpsons References with Charlie.
Yes, thank you very much.
So now we have One Day in Bangkok, not to be confused with One Night in Bangkok. That'll be later. And our companion beverage is called Mekong. This is the spirit of Thailand. It's referred to as a whiskey, but it's really not because it is distilled from 95% cane sugar and 5% rice.
Wow.
With herbs and spices and caramel color added. So it's like a rum.
Okay.
Let's pour some
Or
of that.
we'll see what it's like. I don't know what to make of that.
It tastes like a rum.
It
definitely
does.
tastes like rum.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. It's not terrible. It's not something I would
No.
get again.
No. I think I'd mix it with something at the very least.
Maybe if you mixed it with a Coke or Coke Zero or whatever. Possibly. It's got a weird kind of little aftertaste.
It does have a weird aftertaste, yes.
It was founded in 1941. It's named after the Mekong River. And like I said, they call it a Thai whiskey, but it's really, I mean, that is a rum. If it's 95% molasses.
You would think.
But it's a cultural icon. It became a symbol of Thai identity, especially during and after World War II. But it's like golden in color, nose of herbs, brown sugar, and light florals. The palate is smooth with caramel, cinnamon, and a hint of vanilla. And I didn't just BS my way through that nose stuff, because even though I love it when people do that. Oh, this has a hint of pine and maybe some burnt cherries and things like that. No,
Yes.
I was just reading the description.
I love reading the back of bottles for that very reason.
So now we're in Bangkok. We're going to High Fat's headquarters. I would love to have that gigantic dragon water feature in my
That
yard.
was pretty awesome. That was very cool.
So we have Hip is scoping out High Fat's complex while Bond is puffing on another cigar. Hip's up on his shoulders.
I know.
That was awesome. Then Bond gets up on Hip's shoulders and jumps over the wall where he gets to a...
Well, Hip basically tells him there's no way in to get past
Yes.
these people. And he goes, I think he'll see me.
Yeah.
He just jumps over the wall.
And then we get Bond at the pool with a very, very naked lady by the name of Chu Mi. A return to the excellent double entendre names for Bond girls.
Are there levels of naked, Mike? Very naked?
I mean, in a Bond movie,
Yeah.
yes, she was very
She's
naked because
underwater.
you could see things that you don't
Well,
normally see.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but it was water, so
Yeah,
you couldn't
I get it.
totally. I mean,
but yeah,
but it worked out well because
she invites him to go swimming with her.
yes. And how well does that work out for him? It's almost as if he had planned this.
Right? So that he could take off his shirt
Yes.
and reveal that he has a third nipple. So he meets High Fat, and he's pretending to be Scaramanga, obviously, having a back and forth with High Fat, saying he wants to track down this James Bond guy and kill him. And eventually, Bond leaves. After High Fat invites him to dinner later that night. Very
Yeah.
nice of him.
Yeah.
So Bond leaves with Hip, and as he's leaving, he has a nice quip. He invited me to dinner. He must have found me quite titillating.
Yes.
After
You had to chuckle at
yeah.
that one.
After that, we go back in, we're back in High Fat's headquarters, and we see that Scaramouche's there. So obviously there was no ruse. Nobody fell for anything. They start to talk about Bond. We're back at the hotel, and Bond's leaving the hotel with Goodnight. He's got to go out and have that dinner with High Fat, but Goodnight says they should have dinner afterwards or eat something afterwards, and Bond, ever the slick one, says a midnight snack might be just the thing.
Yes.
And she says, I'll keep the wine properly chilled. And Bond says, everything else warm, I trust. So,
He's quite subtle.
yeah. So Bond gets in the car with Hip, and two of Hip's nieces are there with him, weirdly. He's got to take them somewhere. This is a fairly obscure thing, but one of the nieces, the one on the right, I don't have her name written down, but the actress that played her later played in a movie called Kung Fu Hustle. And Kung Fu Hustle is one of the coolest, funnest martial arts movies ever. I highly recommend watching Kung Fu Hustle if you've never seen it.
It will be no surprise to you that I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But they're good. They're back there giggling and being young girls, obviously talking about him, and he can't understand anything they're saying, of course.
Yeah. So we're back at High Fat's complex for dinner. Bond is getting ambushed by all these statues that are around the place. The first ones that ambush him are two sumo wrestlers. And I think it was Cubby Broccoli that was really not a fan of the fact that they put sumo wrestlers in Thailand. He didn't like that was...
I know. I wondered about that.
misbalanced
But,
like
you
that.
know, believe it or not, that's something I'm willing to suspend my,
Yeah.
disbelief on.
Bond gets into the fight with him, eventually breaks free with an atomic wedgie to one of them.
I know. That was so
pretty funny.
good.
Grabbing the butt cheeks and then just pulling on that.
Mm-hmm.
But then he gets knocked out by Knick Knack and his trusty trident. And High Fat says to send Bond to school. So Bond is at...
Take him to school.
Yeah, Bond is at school the next morning where, he's getting these luxurious accommodations again. He's got 3 lovely ladies all tending to him. While he's doing that, Bond gets to watch some martial arts practice. And I just want to, like an aside here, obviously with Live and Let Die, we had the whole blaxploitation thing.
Yeah.
Now for this one, I think that Bruce Lee had just started to get really big and stuff. So, they put the martial arts stuff in this one, which I think works. I think
it's fine.
like the martial arts
they're
stuff a lot.
in that part of the world, so it's fine.
So Bond's watching this. Pretty soon, everybody will be kung fu fighting, I think.
Wow.
Bond is then challenged to participate, and the guys line up and they bow. The first guy bows, Bond bows, and then the other guy bows, and Bond just kicks him in the face and knocks him out. Then Bond has to fight a second fighter. Bond, with that fighter, does in fact get his ass kicked, literally. But eventually he does win, takes a quick bow, and then dives out of the complex.
I'm not sure he even won. I feel like he just decided, I'm getting out of here.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
He had a brief
He knocks
advantage.
him down because the guy gets back up.
He had a brief advantage.
Yeah.
So Bond's out there, and then all of a sudden, Hip and his 2 nieces show up, and Bond puts his arms over the nieces so that they don't get attacked
tells
by all
them
the
to
guys.
stand back.
Yeah, so all the guys that are coming, and then they cut in front of him, and they get in their stances, and they just start whooping on everybody. And I absolutely loved that scene. I thought that was awesome. Bond's just sitting there watching, not doing anything. I'm surprised he didn't pull out a cigar and start smoking a cigar while they were all fighting.
Right. That was really good, those 2 young girls
Yeah.
just totally beating all these guys. Now, clearly, of course, it's the old trope in every movie where it's like they're lined up to fight these girls, right? Nobody thinks, well, if 3 of us
Why don't we all
try
just
and
rush
fight
them?
him at one time. I
Yeah.
know. But, that's just movies, right? But it's great to watch the girls just beat all those guys up.
So they dispatch with everybody. They run to Hip's car. For some reason, they drive off without Bond.
Yeah, never made sense to me. They
understand
could
why-
have waited a half a second longer for him to get in the car.
But if they did that, then we wouldn't get back-to-back movies with boat chases.
I know. And also, I assume Hip is trying to save his nieces,
Yeah.
although they just showed that they could kick everyone's ass. I don't know.
Anybody that has any insights about that, you can certainly email us. Bond hijacks the boat. This is the worst quip in the movie. Where
Oh,
he's got
yeah,
the
it is
big
really
motor
bad.
up and he's aiming it at him, and he say, "What you might call a Mexican screw-off, gentlemen," instead of a Mexican standoff.
Right.
So bad.
Because it's a screw that's the boat
Yes.
propeller.
Right. So Bond's floating around, flying around on the water. We get this little kid that's trying to sell this little toy elephant, and he ends up jumping into Bond's boat, trying to get him to buy it. And Bond's like, "I'll give you 20,000 if you can get this boat to work." And the kid immediately fixes the boat. Bond just shoves him in the water and says, "I'll have to owe you."
You know, I've read that Roger Moore did not really like having to push the kid off the boat.
You know, to go back to an earlier scene, I also read that when he's slapping around Andrea Anders,
Yeah.
that he was very uncomfortable with having to do that scene.
It looked manhandling a woman like that seemed out of character.
Seemed more of a Connery thing to do.
Yeah, right.
So Bond is going around on the boat again. We're about to get another boat chase, and lo and behold, some hillbilly up on the side of the water sees Bond go by, and it's the great J.W. Pepper. He's there with his wife, sightseeing. Here's the funny thing. So his wife Maybelle wants to get this toy elephant, and he
They're
goes
like carvings
Yeah.
that you get over there.
and he says, "Elephant, we're Democrats, Maybelle. 100% guarantee you J.W. Pepper is no longer a Democrat."
No, but in those days, if you
Yes.
were in the South, you were a Democrat.
We don't get political on this show, but I just found
No.
that very funny.
That's just a thing
It's just
that was
very
true
funny.
at the time.
So JW spots Bond, and then the Republican mascot comes up and knocks him in the water.
He does
was
push him
pretty
in the water. That was pretty funny.
So now we're back at High Fats with Scaramanga and High Fat chatting. High Fat gives Scaramanga the Solex agitator, and then Scaramanga realizes he doesn't need High Fat around anymore, so he shoots him, and he dies very quickly. He takes a shot, I think, in the stomach, but he's like immediately dead. So, okay,
That's how it works in movies.
I guess that's how it works.
You
So-
don't have to bleed out. You just crumple and die.
So Scaramanga takes over High Fat's operations.
Yeah, and nobody in High Fat's organization questions any of it.
Yeah,
They just
the one
go
guy
along
comes
with it.
in, and he's like, "Oh, he's resigned permanently."
Just put him in the mausoleum.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, okay.
So now we have one night in Bangkok, and the world's your oyster.
Nice.
There's a song that will be in the show notes called "One Night in Bangkok." Bond meets Goodnight for dinner. He gets this wine called Foo Yuck, which is not a real wine. It was
We
made for
tried.
We
We
looked.
looked it
There's
up.
no- there's
We
no
both
wine called Foo Yuck.
independently looked it
Yeah.
up, and we're disappointed it was not a real thing.
So Bond wants.
But hang on, did you
Yes.
notice the thing? He says, "Foo, yuck," and the guy goes, "It's a 74." It was 74 when they were making the movie.
Nice.
Not
Good
really
catch.
aged.
Yeah, good catch. We have some back and forth with him and Goodnight, and I think that Bond's flirting with her, wants to.
They're
get
in a
with her.
very blue room with her having a very blue nightgown on.
Yeah. But 007, he gets Bond blocked because she says killing a few hours is one of your passing fancies isn't quite my scene. But she was just playing hard to get. She admitted it later. So we're going to get some slap and tickle with Mary Goodnight. Oh, wait, no, we're not, because Andrea Anders is going to come in and talk to Bond. So this is where we learn that Anders is the one that actually sent the bullet to 007 because she wanted to get Bond to help her escape Scaramanga by killing Scaramanga. So that, Bond asks
And
about...
she sits on the bed. Mm-hmm. And there's an awesome tiny little TV behind them.
Yeah.
Tiniest TV in the world. Of course, it's 1974. A TV in your hotel room is probably like a real luxury, and it's like a 9-inch TV.
Yeah.
I noticed it and loved it.
And I guess I should say that Mary Goodnight was under the covers in there while him and Anders
She was. That had
were
to be
chatting.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. So they talk about the Solex agitator, how Bond needs it, and how she needs to get it from Scaramanga. Anders leaves the room for a minute, and Bond shoves Goodnight into the closet, and we get our first slap and tickle of the movie with Andrea Anders while Goodnight is stuck in the closet.
Did you notice how Goodnight pointed to like the door to the room as if like I should
can just
leave
leave.
the room? and he puts her in the closet. That would not be fun.
Maybe he was trying to impress her.
I don't know, but I was like, why don't you just let her leave?
Yeah. So now we see Anders back at Scaramanga's. He seems a little suspicious of her, but she does get the Solex. And we're back to Bond at his hotel. He wakes up. He goes and gets Goodnight out of the closet. Once again, Bond has a cigar in his mouth, puffing on one of those. And she wants to know how long she's been in, or he tells her that she's been in there for 2 hours, and he says all in the line of duty. So now we go to the
Did you notice what Anders said when she went back to the hotel? He asked her why she was gone so long. It was a double feature.
Yes, I remember that now. Yes. So they're gonna meet Anders at a kickboxing match to get the Solex. So we go to this kickboxing match.
You want some real life trivia?
Sure.
My wife, Becky.
Oh, she's been to
spent
Thailand,
a
hasn't she?
semester in
Yes.
Singapore, and one of the places they visited was Thailand, and she has been to a kickboxing match in Thailand. And she said it looked exactly like that kickboxing scene.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I found some interesting tidbits about the kickboxing match. So they didn't want to have to pay a bunch of extras to come in and sit there. So the producers actually staged real fights with current and former kickboxers.
Oh, wow.
And then they invited spectators to come in and watch the fights and said that you may be in a movie if you come watch. So they had a full bill for the entire day of real fights. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow.
So we got Bond meeting Anders to get the Solex, and Hip and Goodnight are both watching from a distance. And Anders looks like a wax figure there. She's just got her mouth slightly open.
Yeah.
And she said that was the hardest scene to do because it wasn't fake. It was her there pretending. I mean, obviously she's dead in the movie.
Yeah.
But it was her pretending, and she said it got really hot and it was very uncomfortable. But she did a good job with it.
Okay, there's a kickboxing match going on, and these people are sitting here talking. We need you to stay perfectly still the entire time and not move.
Yeah, very good job. So Bond tries to find the Solex, and it's not in her purse or anything. And then some guy sits down next to Bond, and lo and behold, it's Scaramanga. And then Nick Nack is behind him with a gun, and neither of them know where the Solex is. And then out of the corner of his eye, Bond sees it down on the ground. So fortunately, at that very moment, Hip comes up to sell peanuts, and Bond makes an excuse, gets to go. He drops something to pick up off the ground, and then he picks up the Solex, puts it in Hip's box so that Hip has the Solex.
So Hip takes the Solex to Goodnight.
Yes.
And he tells her, she puts it in her purse, and he tells her not to lose it and to go take it back. Scaramanga has a little chat with Bond talking about, essentially, don't follow me. And so he leaves, and then eventually Bond leaves and asks where the Solex is. It's with Goodnight. Goodnight, meanwhile, notices Nick Nack getting in a car. And she decides to take a tracking device out of her purse and put it in the car. And she's got these lock-picking tools. And she opens up the trunk of the car. And obviously, Scaramanga's walking back to the car, sees her doing it, and just pushes her into the trunk of the car.
Yes. I think that I got a little distracted because they started to really throw around a term that's no longer acceptable. They used the word midget quite a bit in this scene. And look,
they did.
That was the term then. I don't know how little people felt about that term then, but that was the one that was used. I don't think anybody
Well, it
thought
could be
anything
one of those terms that when it was first used was just the term everyone accepted and over time became a problem.
Yeah. It's not like the term that will always be accepted in my book, which is honky.
Right.
So yeah, we get Goodnight put into the boot, not the trunk. It was the boot. We're British here, not American.
It was.
The car was an AMC Matador.
Coupe. It was.
Yes. So now Bond is trying to find them. He needs to get it to a car in order to get them. And lo and behold, there is a nice AMC in a showroom with J.W. Pepper, for some reason, in the passenger seat. And Bond gets in, and this is an AMC Hornet
It is.
that he hijacks. So Bond's trying to chase down Scaramanga. We get some cops coming along, and eventually Bond gets away from all the cops.
Also in Matadors, but the sedan version.
Well, now see, my father-in-law, he's a big car guy. We watched it with him. He said that, by the way, even Thailand has Keystone cops because they all like plow into each other by the end.
Yeah.
He said AMC ambassadors.
Oh, okay.
So those were ambassadors. So now we have Bond and J.W. Pepper on the road. Really wish we'd have had some Dukes of Hazzard music here again because that would have been perfect. And they're trying to track down Scaramanga. Turns out they go onto different paths.
On two sides
of a river.
Waterway.
Yes. And we're going to stop right there for a second and get our drinks because it's corkscrew time.
Oh, perfect.
We are back with our drinks. We are having, and you'll see why here in a second, a drink called a corkscrew. This consists of light rum, 1 1/2 ounces, 1/2 ounce of peach schnapps. Is it schnapps or schnapps?
Well, I say schnapps, but what do I know?
We'll say 1/2 ounce peach schnapps then. 1/2 ounce of dry vermouth and a lemon spiral to garnish. Prepared by our favorite bartender, my wife, the Countess Tracy. Cheers.
Cheers. You definitely get the citrus flavor.
I was gonna say it's very peachy.
Yeah.
Peachy keen. It's fine. What's funny is doing all these, I'm not a big cocktail guy, but some of them I've really liked. That's not a bad one, but that's not something I'm going to drink a lot just because I tend to usually not like super sweet stuff.
No. I like things with very few ingredients.
And you like very bitter things.
I do love
You like to drink things that match your
just like myself.
disposition. So we're at this car chase, and Scaramanga's on the opposite side of this river. And there's no way that Bond is going to be able to backtrack and get over there in time in order to catch him. So he sees this bridge that's been all torn up, and it's
conveniently.
Yes, very conveniently. And so he makes the decision to jump the bridge. He has a very funny line with J.W. Pepper. Or J.W. Pepper's like, you're really not gonna do that, are you? He's like, oh, yes, I am, boy. Because J.W. Pepper's constantly saying boy in this movie.
Yes.
And he revs up, jumps it, does a perfect 360, lands on the other side, drives off to catch Scaramanga. So let's talk about this stunt.
It was quite a stunt.
This stunt deserves some talk.
Now, in the movie, he only leaves himself like 10 feet of running room
Yes.
to make the stunt. But we can suspend our disbelief just to see a cool car stunt.
Yes. So this stunt was first performed in real life January 14th, 1972 at the Astrodome. Astrodome was an old football stadium in Houston. Yeah. Guy Hamilton heard about it through Joey Chitwood, who we talked about. He was actually the cab driver in Live and Let Die that got shot by Whisper.
Right.
But he was very famous, like stunt car driver.
Yes.
The car, some stuff about the car. So it had to be perfectly balanced. So the driver and the steering column were in the middle of the car. And he basically was in like black paint.
Right.
And then they had like 2 dummies on each side of him.
Oh, wild.
Yes. The car had to go exactly 40 miles an hour, which is crazy.
Really?
I would have thought it had to go faster than that.
Yeah,
no.
I feel like if I were the guy, I'd be like, can't I go like 100 or something? I mean,
Had to go exactly 40 miles an hour. They did it in one take. That take you see is the only time they attempted this in this movie. And it was perfect. Just,
yeah.
I loved it.
The thing I read about it was that it was one of the first uses of computer modeling. Like
Yes.
they figured out exactly how fast it had to go based on the car's weight and all these parameters.
You are correct.
Pretty wild.
You are correct. Yeah. It's funny too, because even people that were there didn't believe that it was real. They thought that there was some sort of special effect. And yet, we'll get to it in a minute. The next scene they thought was completely real.
Oh, wild.
Yeah. Here's the only thing I don't like about this. that stupid slide whistle that they put in when he's doing the corkscrew.
Yes.
And Cubby Broccoli hated it. And even John Barry, the composer who put that in there at that point, regretted it later. It's like it takes away from the seriousness of it.
It does,
They
because it
should
makes
not
it
have done
seem
that.
goofy versus, yeah.
But the stunt itself, I mean,
It was pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome to think they actually did that.
yeah, to this day, I think it's one of the best stunts ever in a Bond movie. So they catch up to Scaramanga. Scaramanga and Knick Knack arrive at this garage where they convert their car into a plane by dropping this big plane apparatus on top of the car.
You notice, even the barn they get to, they push a button and it opens the doors.
Yeah.
Like, you can't obviously open and close those doors yourself by like dragging them sideways.
Yeah.
Obviously, every supervillain, the main thing they need is automatic doors that they don't have to work by hand.
Right.
Scaramanga even had that back in his house in the very first scene.
Yes.
When he goes in the house, he's got an automatic door.
Yes.
Have to have it.
This has been automatic door time with Charlie.
I mean, is it going to keep coming up? I can't wait to see.
So we have this very realistic model car plane that takes off and flies up into the air. And people thought that was real. A little trivia about this, though. So this actually was inspired by a real life person, this guy by the name of Henry Smolinski. And he actually put a Ford Pinto in the body of a Cessna, and somehow he was able to get it to fly. So he actually did this. Unfortunately, during a test run, it crashed and he died. But it did work.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Is there a picture of this device he had if I go on the internet to see this Pinto / Cessna?
You know, I didn't look, but I'm sure there is. The internet has everything. So we go back to Bond and JW. They see them take off, and JW's flexing his police muscles, trying to talk to the local police. They're having none of it. They don't care. They think he's an idiot, and he is, and I think that's the whole point, is that he's an idiot.
Yeah.
But we get another term.
Well, because he's an American.
Yeah. We get this term. I don't know what it even means, but he keeps calling them pointy heads. I'm sure
didn't
that's a
understand that. It obviously
has
is,
to be,
but I didn't really
I don't
get
understand
it.
Maybe it's because some of them have the hats that, you know, the pointy
I didn't
hats,
think of
but
that.
That's weird.
That could be.
So yeah, just another thing that's not aged well. But we're back at HQ because, you know, not only does Scaramanga once again have the Solex, he now has Mary Goodnight as a hostage. M's face, his just look of utter shock and disgust at what has happened.
Yes, when they're explaining
hilarious.
it to him, it is
Yes.
very funny.
And then they're talking to Q, and Q's talking about how that flying plane is definitely possible, and M just tells Q to shut up.
He does.
He does it twice. There was 2 different times where Q
Oh,
chimes
we're
in.
working on one.
Yeah. So it turns out that Scaramanga is hiding out on an island off the coast of China. The real islands that they filmed this at were off of Thailand, but I think that the island was supposed to be used to be like High Fats, maybe. I don't think that was the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, I guess it was Scaramanga's island. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was
that
his
would have been
island.
Scaramanga's island.
Because
I don't
that's
think he
where
stole
his
that from High Fats.
house was in
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah. My mistake.
And
I like when we correct my error in real time.
yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Another trivia point.
Yes.
My wife Becky has been there because that is off in real life. It's off the coast of Thailand.
She's been to that island?
And she took a tour that takes you on a boat to go see that island.
I did hear that, I think it was Christopher Lee they were talking to, and he went there years later, because then there was nothing there.
Yeah.
But then he said it was a huge, like, touristy place when he went there, like, years later, and people recognized him and stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny. So Bond's flying into Scaramanga's island.
On a seaplane.
Yes, on a seaplane. He lands, but, you know, landing the plane is a real beach.
Wow. I
The
noticed
silence was deafening after that joke.
I noticed when it lands, obviously he's not actually flying the plane, and the little scene where it lands and he pretends it has a hard landing, and it reminded me sort of like the old Star Trek where they would run from one side of the set to the other when things would go sideways.
Yeah. So now we get Knick Knack coming with some villain refreshments. It is a Dom Perignon. Unfortunately, it's not the 62. I
Right.
think it was the 64 that he said. I don't know. He said it in French. All of our French listeners can translate it for us and tell us what year it was. Bond, well, we should say Scaramanga shoots the cork off the top of
He
the
does, yes.
champagne like a real badass. And then he brings Bond into his lair, and we get
Through an
automatic door.
door.
Of course, we get another automatic door. And this is where we get our lengthy exposition about exactly what Scaramanga wants to do. He's basically going to sell the Solex to the highest bidder, of course, because it's always about money.
Well, he's actually getting them to like buy his electricity, and he's storing
Yes.
the electricity in these huge superconducting coils with liquid helium
Yes.
at whatever Bond says 500 and something degrees below Fahrenheit.
Yeah. So we're getting to see all this equipment and stuff, and then Scaramanga shows him, once again, we get that shrinking machine from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I cannot help but see that every time I see one of those weird guns that have all those lights and the laser thing.
Funny. Well, what I noticed was to get up to that, layer with where the light comes in, they went in an elevator that had no door on it. Did you
Yeah.
notice that? They get in the elevator, it goes up. There's no door
Yeah.
on the elevator.
Yeah.
So you can watch the whole dialogue with them in the elevator without being in the elevator
Right.
with them.
So Scaramanga shows off his big golden gun and blows up the seaplane that was out on the beach.
So that gun, the only place it can shoot is basically into that little bay where the beach is. Like they have a whole door that opens up in front of that gun, and the only place it can shoot just happens to be where he landed that plane.
Let's say maybe that's the only place where somebody can get onto the island. So it's just
Sure.
like a defensive turret.
If you say so.
Sure. So now we get lunchtime, and then Mary Goodnight shows up in a bikini because, why not?
Yeah. Well, Scaramanga says he likes that outfit because she can't carry a concealed
Yeah.
weapon.
Right.
Little does he know.
Little does he know.
Okay, never mind.
Scaramanga has a back and forth with Bond, basically saying, "Oh, we're the same guy and everything." And Bond says, "I kill on the orders of my government." I mean, that of course makes it better that you're
Yeah.
killing people. So
But he says all the people I kill are murderers.
yes, he does. He does go out of his way to say, "Yes, I kill bad guys like you."
And while they're sitting there, Scaramanga, who had offered Bond cigarettes earlier, takes the cigarette case and makes it into a gun, of course, the golden gun.
So now we get our little showdown, which ends up not being much of a showdown, where they stand back to back and go 20 paces, and they both turn around. Well, Bond turns around and shoots, and Scaramanga's gone. So now we get our fancy Bond, funhouse excursion like the guy from the beginning of the movie.
Okay, did you think to yourself, if Knick Knack tells you to go into that door to find Scaramanga, would you really go in the door? Like, can you be an advantage in the guy's own
Yeah.
place?
But he kind of has no choice. He's gotta find him and get to him somehow.
This is why I'm not a secret agent, because I would feel I had choices.
Yes.
I'm just going to wait until he comes back out, and then I'm going to
It's
shoot
gotta
him.
come out sometime.
Exactly.
So he sees all these wax figures we saw earlier that really weren't wax figures; they were real people, except for the Roger Moore one. That the
Right.
James Bond one, that was a wax figure. It was a pretty good one. Surprisingly, Bond is not distracted by the sexual magnetism of the wax figure Bond. He didn't just stop and stare and just.
Look at himself. Right.
They have a back and forth, and then eventually Bond gets the better of Scaramanga by pretending to be that wax figure. So he's standing there in that position, and then Scaramanga hears something, and then Bond shoots him and kills him. Kind of a sad end to Scaramanga. He really didn't go out with much glory. He just kind of got,
He just got killed.
got one over on him. So while we're doing this, Mary Goodnight is being watched by this very creepy henchman. No
Very
henchman in this
creepy.
movie other than that guy.
Right.
No
Other, like
uniforms?
high fats guys, a
Yeah, I
little
guess,
bit,
yeah.
but no, not much. Right. That whole solar thing is run by like that one guy.
Yeah. Very efficient then. So Goodnight takes...
Why is the solar thing on his island? I guess he was the one selling to high fat.
I guess.
Oh my gosh. I'm even thinking of more problems. All right, go ahead.
So Goodnight takes out the henchman with a big wrench, and he falls into the liquid helium, I
I
believe
thought
it
that's
was.
what they said.
I
yes.
believe it was liquid helium.
Yeah. Which does kill him.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely
Instantaneously.
kills him.
Yeah, because it's super cold.
Yeah.
And it talks about how that helium that it has to stay a certain temperature or it'll.
Well, it claims absolute zero, but of course, nothing has ever theoretically gotten to
Isn't absolute
zero.
zero like negative 317? I think he said like negative 450 or something.
Well, he said Fahrenheit.
Okay.
It's 0 Kelvin, which is
Okay.
like -3 something
Yeah. Okay.
Celsius.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. You got to do a whole bunch
bear
of
in
like
mind,
crazy conversion math and stuff.
Scaramanga went way out of his way multiple times to say he doesn't know science.
He did.
So Bond is going to now try to get the Solex. Should he use that big wrench? He probably could have busted it open pretty quickly. The one that...
I know he goes down there and he has a very difficult time getting it out of whatever kind of container it was in that little room.
Goodnight just is button in and pushes the button.
Well, did you notice, like, he takes that console, which was like a super, super futuristic looking, weird shaped console,
Yes.
right? And he walks in the room and he turns it around just so her butt can hit it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he had no reason to touch it at all. But then, yes, her butt hits the thing, which brings the big mirrors
Yeah.
up off that, like, tall, weird island
The
formation.
mushroom-shaped island, yeah.
Yes.
So now Bond's about to get fried, possibly, and he tells Goodnight to deactivate it, gives her very specific instructions that shouldn't have been that hard to figure out. Everything was labeled. She should have been able to find it, but she couldn't. So when in doubt, just push every damn button. And that's what
Yeah,
Bond
which
said,
he
push
tells
every
her
damn
to
button.
do. In real life, I feel like you'd be blinded by that amount of light being focused into one place.
One would think.
Just, yeah. That was like a mini episode of Charlie
Yes.
Rose, the movie. All right, go ahead.
Eventually, Bond screws the thing off and is able to get the Solex out. And him and Goodnight, after some struggles, they get out of the lair just in time for it to blow up. And then
There was a lot of like blowing up that I didn't understand why it was happening. Like things caving in with seemingly no reason.
yeah,
But, stuff's got to
regardless,
cave in.
they get out. And
Did you notice them, especially her, fall down as they're running out of that
She
place
really
into the
fell.
little room?
she really
Yeah,
fell.
I looked it up because when I saw her fall, I thought to myself, I think she really slipped and fell when they were trying to pretend they're escaping. I wondered.
I like things like that, though. I like that they leave things like that in because
Yeah.
it's realistic.
Right, and he has to like help her back up.
And
But
if there's nothing
it
else-
looked like it really would have hurt.
If there's nothing else you want in a Bond movie, it's realism.
That's what I want.
So they get out, and Holy Mary, Mother of God, Bond sees the ship from the Goonies. That was a quote from the Goonies for all of you fellow huge fans of that movie, which we will one day do because I don't think Charlie has seen it, but maybe once.
I've seen it once. Within the past 5 years also.
Oh, okay. So now Bond, it's all over. The island exploded and everything. So we're gonna get some slap and tickle with Mary Goodnight. Oh wait, no, we're not because Nick Nack's still alive. So we have to have that one final fight with a villain.
Okay, you breezed past we're going to have another mini episode here.
Here we
Charlie
go.
Rins a movie. He goes down under and they're talking about it and he says someone's driving the boat. Does he say Bob, George, Fred?
So I think he
remember.
says George.
George.
Yes.
And she says, "Who's that?" The automatic pilot. Does that look like a boat that would have an automatic pilot? It has a
a
sail
sailboat.
on it. Right. And they're navigating through gigantic rocks. So I had a problem with that. I'm sorry.
It was a shout out to one of our best listeners, George.
Yes.
So we get the fight with Nick Nack. I mean, this is definitely going to be a fair fight. Nick Nack just starts throwing wine bottles. Who throws a wine bottle, honestly? Did you notice that all those bottles were empty? Why were all those wine bottles
Yeah, I know
empty?
no wine came out of any of those. Because they'd be very heavy
Yeah.
if you were throwing
Yes.
bottles filled with liquid like that.
After some goofy back and forth fighting between them, Bond gets the better of Nick Nack and dispatches with him. I don't know what Mary thought he did to Nick Nack, but he made it sound like he killed
puts
him
him
or
in
threw
that
him overboard.
suitcase, and
Maybe she
says,
thought he threw
"You
him
didn't."
overboard. Yeah.
I did. Did you notice the quip she had though when she was lying in bed before Nick Nack attacks?
Uh-uh.
I always wanted to take a slow boat from China.
You're going to have to elaborate on that.
Oh, you've never heard the saying, "We're on a slow boat to China."
No.
And she emphasizes the from. I always wanted to take a slow boat from
Interesting.
China. Yes.
No,
Look it up, kids.
I was born much later than you, so I wouldn't understand these old references.
Oh my gosh, you're the worst.
All right, so now we get some slap and tickle with Mary Goodnight. Oh, wait, no, we don't, because somehow M has managed to track down this specific phone number to this
Well,
specific
this was
boat.
awesome. And not just track the phone number down, but the phone has to come up. Like a whole console has to open up and the phone rises out of the console
Yeah.
and then rings.
So Bond's trying to get him off the phone. He wants to talk to Goodnight, and she doesn't want to talk, or he doesn't let her talk. And we get the best quip of the movie there. I put that. That's my ranking one. She's just coming, sir. Then we finally get our slap and tickle with Mary Goodnight.
We assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
Because M just keeps saying good night,
Yes,
and then
good
Bond
night.
says good night.
Good night and hangs up the phone.
But then, of course, we get the end of the movie, and Bond is once again on a boat. How about that? Roger
know.
Moore's first one ending on a boat.
This was the coolest boat, though.
It was a very cool boat.
Regardless of the autopilot, it was a pretty cool looking boat.
So we just have a couple of little trivia items. This was the last joint production with Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman. Harry Saltzman, I guess, was kind of getting tired of doing this. He wanted to branch out and do other things. So after this, they kind of broke up.
Well, once you've made like gobs of money, then you
True.
can concentrate on your art.
Right. The gun, and you said some of this, the gun was made in real life, the prop gun was made from a cigarette lighter, a pen, cufflinks, and a cigarette case. That's what the gun was made from.
Well, it's interesting because when he takes it apart, he puts basically the barrel, he unscrews and he puts like a little thing in it to be the pen tip, I think, and he puts it in his pocket, inside pocket, and the rest, he offers Bond a cigarette at one point. I really wanted to know if Bond had taken that cigarette, were there really cigarettes in there? I mean, the gun only shot one shot, so clearly it wasn't like a clip in there. So maybe he really had cigarettes in there if somebody ever said they wanted one. I really want to know these things, Mike.
As an aside to what it was made from, so the scene where Scaramanga kills High Fat, they're showing him putting the gun
he
together.
puts it together while he's talking to High Fat.
It was very difficult to actually assemble correctly.
Oh, interesting.
So they cut away for part of it, so
okay.
that then
He could
when they
actually put
cut
it together.
when they cut back, it's put together.
Interesting. The other thing I want to know, I said I'd get back to this, where I have issues, is why weren't the world's energy problems solved?
Maybe in that particular Bond world they were.
Right, but the rest of the Bond worlds, which are theoretically the same world, do they have like total solar power? They're still driving, gasoline-powered cars, and there's no mention of all this magical solar power and the 95% efficiency of converting that to electricity. I've serious questions about this.
This has been the third episode of Charlie Ruins This Movie. Here,
Are
two
you sure
things.
that was the third? You gotta have to go back and count when you're
Yes.
editing.
We'll say this. Let's say that MI6 decided, we'll just sell the Solex to the oil industry and they can destroy it.
Well, that's right. I mean, if government says, well, we're not going to let anyone else have this because then we have the advantage.
Or we'll say that this movie takes place in its own singular universe where
Right.
none of the other ones occurred.
Either way.
And that's a utopia now.
So allergies aren't cured and we don't have
Yeah.
95% efficient solar cells.
Yeah.
Damn.
One last little trivia item. The Fantasy Island TV movie appeared 4 weeks after this movie came out. So Hervé Villechaize was, obviously, he played Tattoo on Fantasy Island. So, I mean, the TV show immediately got picked up because of the movie, but I think this might have helped a little bit too.
Interesting. Plus, Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah.
I mean,
Khan.
he was so famous for his commercials about the fine Corinthian leather in the Chrysler vehicles that they had to make the show.
Nice. We should do a whole season on Star Trek movies. I bet nobody's ever talked about Star Trek on a podcast.
No, probably not. No, people don't really, talk about that much. Those
Now
are
we're-
good movies, though. I know they're
Most
not
of them.
supposedly good, but I like them.
The first one I hate, but the other ones are fine. All right, so we have...
You weren't there for the first one.
Okay, fine.
That's the thing. Is that the V'ger one?
Is it? I don't know. The
think it
first
is.
one's just really boring.
I understand, but you have to understand at the time, those of us at the time had seen the show in reruns and we hadn't seen anything new for a long time. And
Yes, but you'd
suddenly
also
these
seen-
same Star Trek
But
people.
Star Wars had already come out, and it sucked compared to Star Wars.
It was more theoretically realistic.
This is the segment where Charlie and I get into a fist fight over Star Trek versus Star Wars.
I like them both okay. I'm just saying.
Okay.
When are we going to get in a fist fight?
2 hits, me hitting you, you hitting the floor. As a Breakfast Club reference, kids, and just 100% truth.
Nice.
Okay, final thoughts and rating.
Yeah.
Things I liked. I loved the martial arts. Obviously, I loved the corkscrew jump. I loved Mary Goodnight. I loved Lieutenant Hip. I loved Christopher Lee. Things I didn't like. I'm almost taking him off here just because he's so ridiculous. J.W. Pepper still kind of annoys me, but I don't know. He grew on me in this one.
Yeah, but I'm not really going to say I like him because he's just so over the top.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
I hated the corkscrew slide whistle. I thought that was the dumbest decision they made in this entire movie. But the stunt was still cool.
The thing is, if they did that stunt now, and it's amazing that it was a real stunt that they did, right? That's so awesome.
Yeah.
But it would look better if they filmed it now because it was real.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And yes, the slide whistle did kind of make it difficult.
And I did wish there were some better quips. There wasn't a whole lot of quips in this one.
There weren't as many as the last several movies, interestingly.
So here's my rating. I'm giving it 5 stars. I absolutely loved this movie watching it. Watching it 3 times. I don't know why. I think it just hits every stupid Bond thing. It's not high cinema, but as a Bond movie, it checked every box for me so well. I loved it. And I didn't used to love it that much. I don't know if it was just all the watches or what. But yes, I had an absolute blast watching this movie. So now we go to you.
I'm going to give it 4.
Okay.
I did really like it. There were a lot of good things in this movie. And actually, in some ways, not having all the gadgets, right? Like, there's really no gadgets.
There's no gadget in this one.
There are
Yeah.
no gadgets. I thought the villain was a lot more... Like, they really dove into what he's all about. There was a lot more back and forth personally between Bond and the villain. I thought that was good, right?
I mean, Christopher Lee was great.
He was really
He was
good.
so good as Scaramanga.
He was good as Scaramanga, and just the Scaramanga character, like, you sort of understood what he was all about and why he was doing what he did. Like, in some ways, some of the movies where the villain is, like, trying to do world domination is, like, hard to really understand how they put this thing together.
Yes.
And like you said, with the henchmen, right? But this was actually somewhat made sense.
Yes.
Right? He was a hitman. That's like a theoretical real thing. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are hitmen. And he just apparently he told that little weird story about killing the first person and how he decided he liked killing people the most,
Yeah.
more than being in the circus.
Yeah.
And so that part I like. They really developed the character a lot more than they had.
Yeah.
So I liked it for
Okay.
that reason.
All right. Slap and tickle count, we're up to 20. Bond and a boat count, we're now up to 6.
Like, he never really... High Fat was just in that kind of one scene, right? He never really was with High Fat.
Bond or Scaramanga?
Bond.
Just that one. Yeah, just that
Yeah,
part where he met
so
him
you
to
didn't see him,
pretend to be
but
Scaramanga.
definitely Anders and Goodnight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, what are you talking about?
of Slap and Tickle count.
Why would he slap and tickle high fat?
He,
You meant
sorry,
chew me.
I meant chew me.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Kids, that was our Seinfeld reference for the episode.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what are you talking about?
High fat,
This
chew
is
me,
all staying
same
in.
thing.
Chew me. Yeah, chew me.
No, edit it out. Come on.
Poor chew me. Hardly appeared.
No,
Rankings.
she didn't.
Okay, so rankings. Obviously, we're getting a bit bloated with these, so we're going to do an episode, a little bonus episode after the Roger Moores, where we kind of rank everything else. But moving forward for the episodes, we're just going to focus on movie and theme song.
You're just changing things up.
I'm not changing them. I just don't want a 2-hour episode. I want people to listen to it. I want all 7 people to listen to this episode. So
My wife doesn't want 2-hour episodes either, by the way. She's like, when can you be home after this?
Yeah. Movie ranking. All right. I'm putting this at number 4. I'm putting it above Thunderball and below Goldfinger.
Wow. I'm going to put it at 6. For me, that is below You Only Live Twice and above Dr. No.
Okay. Wow, above Dr. No for you. All right, theme song. I really haven't thought about this yet, to be honest.
You're usually so prepared for all of this.
I think I'm going to put it at 4. I think I like it better than Diamonds Are Forever, but not as much as Goldfinger. So I'm putting it at number 4.
That's interesting.
I think it's more the music than anything. I love the music in this one.
I'm putting it at 7, below From Russia with Love and before You Only Live Twice.
Wow, before From Russia with Love. That's crazy.
After, sorry.
After.
From
I
Russia
mean,
with
yeah, that's what I mean. I would have put it above that, obviously.
For me, it's what I remembered. Because in my mind, I remember From Russia with Love. And this one just doesn't stick in my mind.
Okay. I did want to talk about a few of the book differences because obviously I've been reading all the books.
Oh, please.
They're not the same thing. The stories are completely different. The only thing that's the same is that James Bond's in it and he's going after somebody named Scaramanga. That's literally only
wild.
Yeah. So we do hear Bond's fake death mentioned in the book, which wasn't mentioned in any previous book, but that was from You Only Live Twice, where he faked his death. At the beginning of the book, Bond is brainwashed by SMERSH, which is the Russian spy agency, and he tries to assassinate M with like some sort of like cyanide bomb in MI6.
Wild.
Yeah, so that was crazy. And then they get him unbrainwashed or whatever, and then he goes after Scaramanga, which has nothing to do with any of this stuff in this movie. We do get to see Felix Leiter.
Who's not in the movie.
Right. Scaramanga did work for the Spangled Mob in the book, which is the same mob from Diamonds Are Forever. Scaramanga hires Bond to be his bodyguard.
What?
And
weird. So Bond's like
he calls
undercover,
him, I think he
guess.
calls him Betty, and Betty calls him Al. Oh, wait, no, that's something else.
Oh, my gosh.
So it all takes place
How many of these are you going to get in this episode?
This all takes place in Jamaica. And it wasn't even the same story at all.
No, that's as different
I wasn't
as
a
can
huge
be.
fan of the book, honestly. This is the one.
Oh,
It just
interesting.
deviated so much, and the story itself was not terribly interesting. It was really just about Scaramanga trying to take out all these other mobster guys.
So is this the first one where you've liked the movie better than the book, or
I
have
wouldn't
there
say
been
that.
others?
No, I mean, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is very similar, so I liked both of them a lot. Dr. No is fairly close. It's just because of the whole like timeline stuff. Like Casino Royale is the first book, and obviously we don't see an official Casino Royale movie until forever. So that really changes a lot of the stuff. But I've liked all the books up to this one. This book was not one I liked too much.
Okay.
So that's it. Next episode 0010, The Spy Who Loved Me.
I mean, that song is going to be really good. I can't wait.
Where am I going to rank that song? Who knows? Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bottled in Bond. If you'd like to send us a message, you can do so at bottledinbondpod@gmail.com. Till your next briefing, pour yourself a drink, light a smoke, and find yourself a spirited companion. Goodbye.